You're lucky to be alive. It's you versus him, but it's really him letting you fucking live long enough to think you got a chance to go up against this killing machine. I don't think he calls him a killing machine at any point, but basically short of saying he's a gun for hire and one of the very best. Decorated war vet, Medal of Honor for Congress. Why fuck with him? Just give up now. Just let him fucking leave town, save some bodies. You know, they throw out the line, well, we got 200 of our finest boys out there against one guy you're overhyping too much. And then the colonel just says bluntly, well, I guess if you got 200 of your best boys, you might as well get 200 of your best body bags to go along and pack them into. Just like The Undertaker used to do when he would tombstone power drive somebody after a match back when he first debuted in the 90s. Tombstone his ass, 1, 2, 3, pin him, and then straight into the body bag. Which is one of the best fucking gimmicks The Undertaker had. And I'm surprised that they didn't keep for him beyond that. That was cool, basically is what I'm saying. And those little fucking stupid shit they used to do in wrestling like that, body bag, haul him out, never see him again, presumably. Well, you know what? If he beats everybody on the roster and then like he beats like, you know, the guys that matter and shit, like presumably they're dead because they're going into a body bag. Like you can't just be stuffing people in the bags for no reason, right? But I guess that's why they had to get rid of that gimmick after a while. So they're throwing grenade launchers at him. They got fucking the army at some point coming in too, making the rounds around the mountains. They tell him clearly, and they're not kidding about it when they say, you've got no way out of here. There's no chance in hell, like Vince McMahon's theme song. No chance in hell to get out of here. And they mean it. Trucks are patrolling, men on foot, everywhere you fucking look. They got grenade launchers thrown at his ass. All kinds of machine guns, artillery ready on deck and shit, but he's able to fucking slip and slide and make his way through everything too. He's a killing machine. He's trained to fucking evade everything, an expert in guerrilla warfare. So if you live through all that overseas, what makes you think your own backyard in the middle of fucking nowhere, USA, is going to be any harder or more complex for him? It's like a fucking a walk in the park for him at this point. He's making light work of everybody, embarrassing everybody. To the point where towards the end now, he's taking ownership of the city, of the town. Just give him the keys of the fucking city because he's blowing up everything on sight. He's making people think he's over there, but he's really over here. He's like a magician. He's like a fucking, what do you call it? Like a ventriloquist when they throw their voice and they make you think like the puppet is talking and they're not even moving their mouth and shit because they make you think the puppet's over there. And then he's over here and shit. He's all over the place. He's fucking Harry Houdini. That's like trained to kill, pretty much. He's like David Blaine with actual cool skills. Not to say David Blaine don't got cool shit he's able to pull off. But if David Blaine's able to pull off more convincing shit like making people disappear, if he hasn't already, I probably respect him more. Nice guy, cool shit, but you know what? Get some new tricks at some point. Like, I don't care that you can hold in your piss for like 7 days straight, standing on top of a platform high above us like 50 stories up and shit. Impressive, but really, is it? Or do you have that much free time, too much free time to think of like, yeah, you could do that, but again, who's really impressed by that? Big deal. I'm just saying. Towards the end too, spoilers ahead potentially, but you know, 40 years ago it came out, it's been 40 years since, you've had plenty of time to do so. He takes ownership pretty much of the police station. He's at the point where he's got the chance to kill the sheriff on sight, shoot him dead. Colonel talks some sense in him, saying everybody is dead that you know. I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. We were in war. There were bad times for everybody. It's over now. If you do this now, if you keep this up, they're going to kill you. Even as deadly and as lethal as you are trained to be, and kill however many men come after you, many men wishing death upon you, it's a whole town versus you. They're gonna get you some way, somehow. If not here, you go on to a bigger city, they might have bigger guns, more bodies to fucking throw at their disposal to just at least try to hurt you enough to where they'll kill you eventually. Talking sense into him. Surprisingly, towards the end, you get a very emotional, like, display, an act per se that I never seen from Stallone outside of, let's say, the early Rockies like that, where he's like crying and like, I didn't want this, from like the first Rocky, or like the sentiment the the sense of fear he had of being like a father, but you know, having to protect Adrian, the kid, being broke and having to deal with in Rocky 2. This is the first time I've ever seen him really like put it out there and really be convinced to the point where I was feeling like bad for him too. At the end, when he gives his final speech about, you know, a whole story about having to see his best friend, his boy, getting blown up to bits, guts flying all over. I can't find your legs. He's telling him, as the guy saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. And still being traumatized by that. Can't go to sleep for weeks sometimes. Can't keep a steady job because he's still like, you know, triggered by the slightest little sounds. Reminds me of like that Eric B. Rakim song, Casualties of War. I forget the verse, but he said something so real that a lot of people make fun of, but I would think it's nothing funny for vets of those times. Every time I hear a truck backfire, I fire back, which is paranoia instilled into a veteran who thinks a truck backfiring, which I got a neighbor who's got like I think it's like a Lexus that's like souped up. That thing they do when they like put it, like paint it all one solid color, take off the little emblems, and like soup up the engine to the way boom, boom, boom every time he revs. Like that kind of backfire. If you're not familiar with that asshole, that neighbor of mine who has that car up and down Woodhaven Boulevard here, you would think it's a gun. Late at night you get woken up by that shit, which he's done already before. You would think it's a gun. So I understood that line and I was like, oh damn. I get people make fun of it, but damn, that's a little too real for somebody who's been through that kind of like waking up to those sounds. Or seeing people die getting blown to bits because of those guns going off like that. Or almost becoming a victim of those guns per se. But of course, he's spilling his guts out to his colonel. The colonel finally talks him into giving himself up. He does so, hands himself over to the police, and finito. That's the end of the movie. He hands himself over to the police. No one died on his watch. He did have the chance to shoot the fucking, you know, king cop, dickhead officer dead. The colonel was there in time to stop him, but at least the guy's laid up there, going off to the hospital in the gurney, whatever. He's going to live to see another day, but hopefully never again another day in which Rambo's in fucking town of all people. Goddamn. Killing machine, legit, period. A couple of things to point out with Rambo that stood out to me. So first things first, you know, the cops are really giving him a hard time. And again, like I said earlier, based off the jacket he's got, based off the, let alone the jawline structure, how solid and squared off it is, like how insanely in shape you can tell he is just by, you know, the structure of his shoulders through the jacket. I think that's somebody I don't want to fuck with, because I get the point. Listen, there's vagabonds, there's bums, homeless, whatever, making their way through towns, whatever the case is. It may not be in the best of shape, or there's always that one exceptional case where they're like working out in the streets with like resistant bands and they get super jacked and all that because literally they have nothing to eat. So when they do eat, it's like probably a can of tuna or something. They scrap all the coins and recycle all the bottles they can to buy some tuna. That means they can afford a can opener, which means they're not that broke, but whatever. We're not here to make fun of the homeless or the domestically challenged per se. But based off his appearance alone, that's somebody I don't immediately assume is a vagabond. And I think on the jacket, if I'm not mistaken, they usually have the patches and shit that shows like, this guy's a vet, this guy's a soldier. Because it's not until like the middle of the movie almost where they point out, the redhead cop did have his suspicion though. He was like, something's off about this guy. He looks like he's a killer or something like that. It's not until one guy runs a report back after like running his name in the system being like, okay, he's a Green Beret, he's a veteran of Vietnam, he's got the Medal of Honor from Congress. He's certified and confirmed as a killing machine. So do we really want to pursue this any further? Do you really want to call in more backup, more helicopters? Can't we just let this guy go off on his fucking own? Like, if we leave him alone, you know, I think he'll be okay. He'll leave us alone and shit. And the king cop, the one that really starts all the trouble and made this whole mess for himself and his fucking town, so fired. But then again, 1982, big fat and white. Yeah, he's probably just getting like desk duty for like 2 weeks. Someone's paying for, the whole town is paying for his hospital bill. He'll come back to work like nothing ever happened and still be looked at like a hero for surviving Rambo, even though Rambo literally let him live. But the point is, the cops are really up his ass and harassing him for really no good reason. They take him in just based off appearances alone. I'm guessing small town shit, they might take vagabonds or vagrancy much more serious than like a big city would, because I guess you can disappear in a big city. But they're taking him in, throw him in a cell, they get him naked, they're fucking power hosing him down too with a fire hose presumably. Like power blasting his back, his ass crack. That's the second time in my life I've seen Sylvester Stallone's ass crack. This one and in fucking Rocky 4, I believe, in the shower scene. Thank God we don't get to see the Italian stallion, wink wink, but that's twice already I can say in my life I've seen Sylvester Stallone's well-defined, sculpted ass crack in my life. Pause. Just complimenting the man, if anything. This is, of course, back in 1982, which, you know, he's in his fucking prime. He's shredded to all fucking hell. Look at the fucking cover on the poster. That's a cartoon rendition of him, and still, in real life, that looks better than the cartoon up there on the poster. But goddamn. The only thing is, too, when I saw the hose scene, is that God forbid he ever turned around with that water going full blast at his ass already. I mean, it's going up a hole. It's like really getting out all the dingleberries I'm presuming you would have as Rambo surviving off the land, per se, and living in the wild. God forbid you turn around and get hosed down, blasted on your cock or your balls, because the last thing I need in my life is, you know, I've been blue-balled enough by the females. I have no luck when it comes to the ladies. At least until now with my girlfriend now past 6 years, so you know, at least that's steady pussy. So no more blue balling me, I hope. But I would be scared of getting blasted in the nuts with that thing, because how fragile, if you're not a man, of course, if you don't have your own personal experience with balls outside of balls in your mouth or slapping against your ass cheeks, balls are very sensitive. So when you lick aggressively, when you bite down jokingly, when you maybe have somebody slapping their balls against your ass too hard and too fast, it stings, it hurts. Or, God forbid, I still go commando even though in my teenage years, way before there's something about Mary, that whole fear of zipping up too fast and catching your nutsack in your zipper, I did that once, barely, just barely caught the pubes, not even the nutsack skin, the pubes on my nutsack. And it yoinked up so fast where I cried. Okay, I shed a tear. I'm lying. I'm crying. But, you know, it hurt. Point blank, period. But, yeah, I would get scared about turning around at any point. You know, if they say, you know, tuck back your foreskin. We got to get in deep, you dickhead. We got to make sure you're not hiding nothing up there, too. It's like, you know, listen, I'm not black. I don't got the BBC. So, believe me, there's nothing much I could hide in there besides maybe a sprinkling of angel dust or something if I was really a fiend like that. But that's scary to think you get like hosed down like that in a small town jail cell of all things. So I'm not mad at him for breaking out. But then also when he does break out, it's really cool how they do the flashbacks. And only a couple of times they do the flashbacks of him being tortured in Vietnam. When they're going in to try to force shave him to get rid of the stubble, he gets a flashback of being held against his will and getting like his chest cut open. That's why he's got all the scars on his chest and back. He starts beating up the police. You know, a lot of 80s action fight movie choreography maybe wasn't the best, and they had to add in a lot of sound effects to make it look or sound more convincing. This isn't so bad what goes on here, but it's a lot of like, you know, and having to layer on top of that with his grunts to make it more convincing, which it's convincing enough. There's like a cool part where he runs up the stairs. There's a cop coming towards him who's like unaware of what happened, because he's not the one that was being mean to him. He was like just one of the cops in the station. Catches him. He does this really cool like sliding sweeps the legs, sliding into him, and then just like punches him while he's down and shit. So that was cool. Doesn't kill anybody. He has no intent to. Takes his knife back, which is confiscated, and grabs a bike. First chase scene in the movie, really fucking awesome, really intense. Keeps you on your toes throughout the whole time, as far as like dirt bike outrunning a police car, which is like the king cop, the troublemaking cop that's chasing him down. My only issue and concern with the chase scene, besides it being awesome and pretty epic and still standing the test of time even up until now, is if you got a dirt bike and you're in a small town, and once you get out of the small town vicinities of, why wouldn't you just jump onto the first patch of dirt and or grass you see, knowing that, you know, police cars are kind of souped up to be able to catch people and shit, but why not just go on the first patch of dirt and or grass to like really throw them off? You got the wheels appropriate for it. Meanwhile, he's going down the fucking main road for like miles and miles and miles. So of course the police car is able to catch up and shit. And then finally like, oh yeah, I could just go on the grass. And finally does and finds the rockiest, most sketchy ass downhill leading to a river ass path he could. So of course at some point the police car flips over. He's lucky that way, but he's unable to manage a fucking dirt bike to get up a hill to get away further. Loses the bike and he's gotta go fucking up by foot and shit. So of course he gives the cop a chance to fucking get up and swear he's gonna fucking catch him. You're fucking dead. You're fucking dead as soon as I catch you. They're calling reinforcements and whatever. The whole time too, the police car was like maybe only a 3-car distance behind him the whole time on a dirt bike on the main road. But he's a trained killer. He knows how to fucking handle himself in the wild and nature. But of all things, he doesn't know to just drive off road with an off-road vehicle at his disposal. I digress. That's whatever. You know, I'm not cool enough to be Rambo, but I'm just saying. I just thought he was a fucking pro, but goddamn. Let's see. So then after that, when the troublemaking cop, the first one that set everything off, is insulted by getting left alone amongst the rocks to chase after him, he calls in reinforcements. He calls in helicopters and all the fucking cops available in town and anybody who's available to come in and just catch one fucking guy. Like, he gets mad, but then there's the other guy at the station who's like threatening him the whole time with the baton in hand, who really takes it up with him and really wants him dead, to the point where he's chasing him via helicopter. Rambo's dangling off the side of a fucking mountain and he's getting shot at with a sniper rifle while this fat guy's dangling off the helicopter. At some point, and this is a cool part too, because when he knows he's got his like shot lined up, Rambo senses it. He's like, he just jumps off the fucking mountain. He lands into some fucking trees to break his fall. Legit, real life, Stallone breaks his ribs during the second take of this scene, falling through the trees. That's why he said something like, you know, the pain was so real, how could I not give a great performance, because my rib was legit broken after, you know, surviving that little fall and making my way out of it too. So I was able to do that. That leads to fucking the guy chasing him down with the helicopter again to the ground level almost amongst the trees. He's shooting at him still, convinced he's gonna get him. Finally got him pinned down. But then Rambo finally shows his expertise off as far as like little trick shots, I guess, like dude perfect shit, whatever. Grabs a rock, knows not to throw it at the cop because I'll probably do nothing, or he probably knows he's got that good a fucking aim, or that great a fucking arm, like a cannon practically. He throws it at the windshield at the helicopter pilot, gets him shook to the point where the copter's all shaking and shit. The cop flies off the shit, head first into the rocks. Boom, he's dead on impact. He, you know, his hands are free of blood. I mean, the cop did die at his expense, kind of, but then also it's more of the blame to put on the fucking pilot, if anything, because he couldn't drive a fucking plane, even under pressure. While he's got a guy dangling off the side with a sniper rifle trying to pin down one guy and kill his ass, pretty much, which was surprising, but I guess whatever. And all this, mind you, for just somebody who was accused or allegedly a vagabond or guilty of potential vagrancy in a small town. All these resources, all this tax money being blown on just catching a guy who had a really hippie-like haircut, may have smelled a little bit, even if he didn't get close enough to the first cop, just like he smelled it from the vehicle, like, oh, this guy stinks, he's definitely fucking up to no good in here. But probably didn't smell of weed, he probably just smelled of BO, because he's fucking walking the whole time in army boots and a thick ass jacket. And yeah, it might be cold, but after you walk a certain amount of mileage, you're gonna start sweating, so you might start, and if you haven't showered in a couple of days, it's gonna fucking show as far as how bad you smell probably. So, you know, God forbid Rambo knows how to use, you know, like a deodorant stick, but then most of the time is spent outside. When's he gonna get the chance to fucking change a shower? God damn it, this is unfair. The fucking profile of the guy for no goddamn reason. They do that enough in this fucking movie. Then they get the fucking info, the drop, where they get radioed in as far as telling them, He's a Green Beret. He's a killing machine. He's an expert in guerrilla warfare. Don't fuck with him, please. Let's stop right now. But the head cop, the king cheese of the asshole cops, he's like, no, fuck that. Call in more backup. Get more fucking helicopters. There's a storm coming in and we can't fucking guarantee. Get the fucking extra copters, extra manpower in. We're going to get this motherfucker. We're going to smoke his ass out. God damn it, you know? But they do that. He starts mobilizing everybody possible. He gets an old man with like 2 big ass Dobermans to try to pick up the scent of his trail. Big mistake because, you know, I didn't confirm. And I don't know if they were willing to do that, but I don't know if he did or didn't kill Dobermans. Rambo, I mean. So if he did, you know, feel free to drop in a comment and confirm that he did. I'm not sure, to be honest. I just hear like the yelp, yip, as soon as the dogs are loose and they get caught up by Rambo. You know, he's been triggered enough to want to kill if he needs to or has to, but he chooses not to with his fellow man, even though his fellow man or these officers have been dicks towards him. I don't see him killing a dog. He probably injured it, or maybe just to like, then again, he might be thinking to his mind like it's an animal trained to kill, if anything. So I might as well get the jump on him and just, you know, X out these dogs, if anything. The old man gets shot in the leg, the guy that was handling the dogs. And then one by one, he starts picking off, not killing, just picking off and immobilizing every officer available. Starts off with the redhead who said, hey, this guy's crazy, maybe just leave him alone. I would think he'd have more mercy on him, which he did kind of, because he just pops up on him, like stabs in the back of the leg, and lets him just lay there, because I think he kind of sensed he was the biggest pussy or the youngest one there, so he's not going to really do much, especially after getting stabbed in the leg like that, with that humongous fucking knife he's gotten him too, like, as long as like a tripod stick almost, that goddamn knife was. So I doubt he was doing much after that. Starts taking out the guys one by one, no kills of course. Really cool scene where he finally pins the head cop, the cop that gave him the most trouble, up against a tree, just pops up on him with a big ass knife right against his fat fucking chin, the double chin, the bottom chin, and he says, quote, in town, you're the law. Out here, it's me. And tells him, it's done. It's done. Was it it's done or let it go? I forget. It's done, something like that. Basically telling him, back off. You got me in enough trouble as is already. You're getting your men fucking hurt. There's one cop dead because of you and you insisting on catching me, which you profiled me as being somebody who, I don't know, can't shower because I don't have a home, and or can't even get a bite to eat in town because you don't want me in town just because of my fucking hair. What, you're mad because I got more hair than you? Or obviously I haven't been fucking hitting up the local donut shop like you have, or you have the luxury to do so. I can't even have a fucking donut. I got no money on me practically. So what was he going to do with the diner? He was going to offer to like wash dishes in exchange for like some scrambled eggs and turkey bacon or something? Come on, you can't really hate on the guy for that, but whatever. They was doing plenty of that. Lets him live. Lets all the other guys live. Scares the shit out of the first cop, but then that really just gets him to the point where he says, fuck that shit. I'm really going at him. It becomes a whole bigger issue. Get the state police involved. And then finally now we get the colonel involved, Colonel Troutman, who's like, he says later on himself, he's like the last bit of family that Rambo may or may not have. Close enough to, at least, since all the other guys in this platoon were dead. And he's telling them over and over again, listen, this guy is a trained killer. He's an animal. He has confirmed kills out the ass. He's been through torturous situations. He survived Nam, one of the very few to survive Nam, sane-ish, quote-unquote, but enough to still kill your ass if need be. Unfortunately, you're playing his game. He's not playing yours. So all the men you get, no matter how many you get, no matter how many guns you rack up and shit, you're all fucking dead. Just leave him alone, please. Let him go about his business. Let a bigger city than the small-ass little hick town handle what obviously you can't do on your own, basically. And then he says again, oh, well, we got 200 of our best boys lined up and ready to fucking take him down. He says, well, in return, okay, well, that's all 200 body bags you're going to fucking need to supply your men's with because they're all fucking dead as soon as he gets his hand on them. So they try to convince the colonel to talk him out of this cave he found to hole himself up in via radio. I don't know how the walkie-talkie works in the radio. It seems like a little weird. It might be just some movie logic, if anything, too. Radios him. He's like, hey, Rambo, it's me, goddammit, you idiot. Your fucking boss. Still am, because I'm still higher ranking than you according to the US government. Give yourself up, goddammit, it's over. I'm sorry everyone else is dead in your life besides me. I'm not a father figure, but I'm close enough to it, so if you're gonna do anything right with your life, listen to me, give yourself up, or get the fuck out of town, because they want you dead, goddammit. And I know you can kill them easily, but still, just do yourself the solid, do me a favor, get the fuck out of town already. He's like, can't do that, boss. They picked a fight with me. King Cop over there had the fucking, axe to grind with me. I'm here now. He put me in a situation, but then a cop is dead because of him, and his other guys are hurt because of him, not because of me. I just happened to do it, but he provoked it. He pushed me. Why'd he fucking do it? Why'd he push me to the edge? Why'd he Lincoln Park me? One step closer to the edge, basically. Rest in peace to Chester Bennington. So we get to the point now where after talking to the colonel via radio, obviously it's used to pinpoint his location via radio. They're able to locate him, and they're on his trail. He knows already, obviously, so he makes it out the cave, makes his way over to where he's got to go to on foot, potentially. It really gets crazy because, and fun, and to show the desperation of a whole town where the men, they call in the National Guard at this point, the weekend warriors, as they call them, I believe. I always thought the weekend, growing up here in New York, at least, in Queens, I always knew the weekend warriors to be the guys that would do like the little stints or the overnight weekend stays in Rikers Island. Those are the weekend warriors I knew of, but I forgot that that's also used to describe like National Guard, because they only work on the weekends, so they're like weekend soldiers, whatever they're called. They're calling them basically to be like, we need the backup, we need the manpower, we need the fucking potential expendables to throw at this guy so we have a chance to like try to take his ass out of anything. So boom, they do that. They're bringing in guns, they're bringing in army trucks, making the rounds around the mountains. There's a guy that clearly says out to him at some point via radio, listen, give yourself up. We've got the whole place surrounded. You know how the police always say that, like in movies with the bank heist and whatever else goes on, like the big crimes. We've got the place surrounded. They legit got this whole fucking thing, like mountainside, forest, woodland, whatever. They legit got everything surrounded. Like, they mean it. The trucks are making laps every fucking couple of minutes. There's guys on foot everywhere you fucking look, potentially. They're in it. They're knee deep in it to try to get this one fucking guy dead, to the point where they got guys walking around with rocket launchers. They make eye contact with him at the point where he's at he's at the entrance of a little tunnel and shit. He's shooting back at them because they shot at him first, and the one guy says, fuck this shit. What are we wasting our time for? We got a rocket launcher. Launch that shit. And they fucking blow up the entrance of the tunnel with him inside, presumably to bury him. So like, easy kill. It's like when you're losing a Call of Duty and you just like pull out you cut your Wi-Fi signal or pull out your Ethernet and shit, just so you don't have to face the agony of defeat like that or take the official L. Kind of feels like that. So they do that, they blow up the fucking entrance, he's stuck inside, presumably just to bury his ass and all that too. But of course, this is fucking Rambo we're talking about. So he's able to climb out of the fucking tunnel and shit. And you know what? It's like he finds a light at the end of the tunnel, literally, climbs out of it, and he peeks his head out enough to see there's men on foot, trucks surrounding, like they said. So he was like, oh man, they were lying, pretty much. Makes his way out though. He's able to fucking sneak around, the tiptoe and shit. Takes a fucking army truck hostage, jumps in, kicks the guy out, gives him a whole little fucking speech about, don't be a cuck, dishonorably discharged, and kicks his ass out of the fucking truck, takes it over. After confirming there's an M60 in there, like the big ass gun he's holding right here in this poster, like the big ass fucking guns with a couple of fucking it almost looks like 2 buckets of bullets he's carrying with him. Takes that shit over, and he hauls ass. At some point the police are on to him. I guess, oh yeah, right, because they caught up with the soldier that was like kicked out. They said, hey, he fucking stole my truck, whatever, go after him. They find him, they chase after him. Cool scene too, another cool chase, because it's a straight road, but at some point he's able to fake them out to the point where he makes the police car crash into a parked car, which might have been a Pinto, because upon impact, the first car blows up, and then the police blow up too, so, oh shit, he actually killed people again. Well, The first cop don't count, the one with the sniper rifle, because he did fall off he fell off the side of the helicopter because of the pilot who should have had his license taken away, but probably went to work the next day, if anything, because white people. But now he killed for real, or he probably meant to be like, or he didn't know it was a Pinto. He couldn't make out the back emblem of the car and see that it was a Pinto clearly, because once it hit the back, and as urban legend has it, once you fucking smash into the back of a Pinto, pretty much. So he killed him, but by mistake. He didn't fucking see, he didn't know. So by mistake, he killed some more cops. Makes his way into town. It's pitch dark. He's been driving a long time and shit. And he pulls off some anti-GTA Grand Theft Auto logic where if you played 5, I believe 4 as well, it's been a while since I played that one, and San Andreas, if you drive into a gas pump, it's instant death. You'll blow up immediately. Or you shoot it and you're close enough to it, you get blown up too and you're dead, instantly, whatever. Wasted, as the wasted screen pops up, of course. Bong! And shit. He's able to drive through 2 pumps, not 1, but 2 pumps. They don't blow up. He leaves the truck there. He sets it on fire. And then the fucking pumps blow up afterwards too, and that sets up a whole chain reaction of fire and shit, like just blowing up like a quarter of the town pretty much, and just really spiking their gas prices, because that's all the gas that went into that fire. Unfortunately, they lock down the fucking little town. They say, God damn it, everybody get the fuck out of town if you can, or if not, just stay inside because we're going to war, all of us versus one guy. And when they hear that, they're probably scratching their head like, wait a second, did they say they're going to war with one guy and shit? But then they're too busy running away and trying to run for cover and shit to even like question the logic of the police and shit too. Which is, again, they brought this onto themselves, wanting to go against goddamn Rambo of all things. Still wanting to fucking get his ass and bury his ass and be like, yeah, we showed you. Meanwhile, there's like 50 corpses stacked up behind them to prove their point. But whatever. It's a movie, of course. There is an interesting point where at least the king cop, I'm really bad with names, so forgive me for not knowing the character or the actor, but the cop that gives him most trouble at first sits down with the colonel over a couple of drinks. Of course, white people fucking airing out their problems over beer, of all things. He's like, you know what, I'm really just jealous that you came in out of nowhere and pretty much cheated me out of the badge of honor, proverbially speaking, of being able to kill this guy myself, because he made it personal. I could taste his blood practically on the tips of my lips, as far as like just wanting him dead that bad. But now it's gone, or at least it's too late now to necessarily say I give up, or he can go about his business elsewhere. He's like, he's done too much. And even the colonel knows, like, yeah, he's done too much, but you kind of pushed him to the edge too as well. If I would have been here soon, I could have told you better, but you took it upon yourself as a hard-headed fucking little local town sheriff, backwood hick-ass cop would. But okay, you're knee deep in it now. What are you gonna do about it? So yeah, they're going to war and shit. This guy's a fucking genius though, this fucking Rambo, because he's at the point where he blew up the gas station. So that's fucking, all the gas is gone. Who's gonna be able to fuel up and get out of town? They're all stuck there with him, if anything. He's blowing out the fucking I think they're called the transformers, not the fucking robots, or the electric fuse box, blowing out lights of the stores and the houses and shit too, so no one can find them. He's like throwing stray bullets so like he could throw off his tracks for the one asshole king cops waiting at the police station rooftop to see where he can fucking pick him off easily and get like an easy kill and shit. Unable to do it. He's blowing out the fucking ammunition store, one of the bullets inside, so it makes him think he's over there in a gunfight, but really he's over here creeping up on a police station and shit. Finally makes it to the police station. The crooked cop does have his chance. I'm going to say crooked at this point, because really he's picking on somebody they didn't like based off his look alone, and he's gotten into all this trouble, him and his town, just for fucking profiling somebody. He's got his chance to shoot him through the roof. He sees him in the shadows creeping, but still Rambo is so fucking nice with it. He's able to fucking zip past him in the shadows, misses him. He knows where to shoot through the fucking roof, because this roof is fucking cheap at this police station. It's barely like a couple of layers of sheetrock. Shoots him, I'm guessing through the foot, maybe one in the ass cheek, maybe through the nutsack. He fucking, conveniently enough, movie logic, stumbles through the fucking glass panel in the ceiling, falls on through. He's literally at the feet of Rambo. Rambo fucking got the thing cocked, pause, ready to just blast his fucking head off because he's the one that started everything. He's like one of those kids, like, he beats another kid nearly to fucking death. And once they finally pull him off the other one, he's like, he started it. Okay, but you fucking took it there that far. The colonel steps in to stop. Stop! It's enough already. You did enough. It's too much. You took on the whole town. You proved your point. You made a fucking iron and steel and lead. But goddamn it, what makes you think now that the army ain't on your ass? They're gonna call in their reinforcements. They're gonna call in all the fucking star levels like GTA would. It's the state troopers and then the FBI and then the fucking SWAT team and then the army with the indestructible tank and shit too. Do you really want to take it to that level? And here's where the movie, like, literally, the way he took over Rambo, the whole fucking town, just give him the keys of the city. There's no fucking way you called everybody to go back inside and lock themselves in because there's one maniac, one warlord practically, taking over, taking out everybody on site who's trying to oppose him. Just give him, fuck the big ass key to the city they give symbolically to people when they do something, or they like rescue a cat out of a fucking tree. Literally give him a copy of the fucking keys to the, I don't know, town hall and shit, throw it his way and be like, you're the mayor now. You run the city. I don't want to fuck with any of this no more. But it's hilarious how the fuck he's doing that shit. You call the fucking town, rename it Rambonia, if anything, too. Maybe that makes him happy because he'll finally be able to sit down, eat at a diner because he'll have to, or else, snap the neck or slit their throat open like some wild pig that he killed in the forest, too. Because, as ripped and shredded as he is, he needs to feed himself so he can stay ripped and shredded. If not, he goes malnourished. He goes like CJ in San Andreas. If you don't eat at a certain time, you just collapse and die because of famine and shit. But he's at the point now, Colonel says, no, don't do it. And this is the really touching part. I know it's a fucking movie. It's all pretend and shit. But for some reason, I really kind of channel with like the vets, military, whatever branch they are, especially knowing like, again, the past horrors of Nam, having lost that war, all those poor young men and women. Did women go out there? I'm not sure. We'll just assume men, because those were the times. No offense to ladies or anybody else. But all those poor young men that got sent out there, that went to die out there, that got traumatized out there, made it back incomplete as far as like missing limbs, missing their sanity, or the ability to cope with normal life after having seen the horrors of war per se. That's not to downput anybody who's been a part of it. If anything, I'm just like showing my respect and bending the knee to those who, thank you for your services out there, whoever you may be, whatever branch you served, living and or deceased, RIP otherwise. But it's always sad to hear those stories. And I always try to give to like the Wounded Warriors Fund, or what, I forget the name of it, and or try to pay attention more to those stories, because I think those guys, if anything, and gals too, there's been plenty of gals out of war too that have seen things as well, need our respect and help the most. And it's surprising that we still don't offer them much more health than what they get. Health and help than what they get currently. Maybe things change, I don't know, but I'm just saying, it's sad to see either way. But point is, I love this part, this ending of the movie, because Stallone is able to spill his guts out. As a character, of course, but he is able to channel into like this thing where it's like just, wow, how did he give this performance? I never knew Stallone was capable of giving like this kind of emotional performance, because I really felt like, damn, did he really go to war at some point? Did he really go through that horror? Because he tells a story of like, coming back from war, 7 years removed from Nam, and so like disturbed from having seen all the shit he's seen and being tortured the way he was tortured, where he can't hold down a job, like parking cars, because he's so fucking messed up in the head and so paranoid about shit 24/7. Of one of his best boys promised him, like, when they come back from war, they were gonna take his Chevy, the one he wanted so badly, his friend at least, and just drive that shit till the wheels fell off. But as he's telling him that, like, he got blown to bits, like presumably by a shoe shine boy, guts flowing all over the place like someone dropped a plate of spaghetti. the guy's crying to him about like, I just want to go home. I want to go home. He's like, I can't find your legs. I can't find your legs and shit. And just really, if you YouTube any part of this movie, I'm not saying YouTube it. I'd say watch the shit. You'll enjoy it, and we'll get to the official score later. But if you YouTube any part of this movie and you want to feel good about this shit, enough incentive to watch the whole thing, YouTube that part. I guess it'd be John Rambo, First Blood, End Speech or something like that. Because it's touching, like, and surprising, the emotional performance that Stallone's able to deliver, and it gets you into the psyche of, wow, I get it. I understand, like, what the fuck you've been through will lead you to this shit, and like how the Joker is with just one bad day change your whole life, pretty much. Not to, what's the word? Not to like endorse it or to pardon it, but it's understandable, I guess. All he really needed was a hug, it seemed like, because all his boys are dead. It's 7 years after. He's got no one left for him, no family, presumably. He reaches into the colonel to give him a hug. The colonel finally like shows him some like emotion back to him, pats him on the back. I guess he feels bad enough too, like he's one of his best guys ever, but like he's like so severely messed up in the head because of what happened to him, what he lived through, what he had to do for the government and shit. Finally gives himself in. That's when the movie ends, I mean, presumably too. And thank God, as opposed to what we could have gotten had they stuck to the novel or the story itself of Rambo, gave him a name, John Rambo, to make him more human, as opposed to the book as mentioned before. He's not just a blind rage killing machine where in the book I think it said he had killed everybody like that got near him, like just instant death pretty much. In the movie he kills nobody, at least not directly. Indirectly killed the guys in the cop cars and shook up the pilot in the helicopter to the point where he killed because he couldn't control the fucking helicopter. The fat cop really hating on him, so he didn't kill nobody.
So the most he did in the film, as far as killing's concerned, directly, because he needed to, because look at him in the poster and look at him in the fucking movie for better proof. He is jacked, he's ripped, he's shredded, so he needs the protein. And God forbid it ain't raw protein at that time, what, in the 80s, when, there weren't, I don't think there were really like protein bars or anything of the sorts that are readily available like nowadays with shakes and all that too. You had to get your protein where you could. So of course he only killed a wild pig. And guess what? Those wild pigs are assholes. They're wild for a reason. They bite you in the ass cheeks. And I couldn't tell if this one had like tusks or not. But even better, one less asshole pig out there, besides the cops. Wink, wink. As we mentioned, in the book, he's a straight up killer. He's a menace to society in the form of blood on his hands. It's a matter of a like DNA potpourri, trying to get any evidence out of John Rambo's, Rambo, book version Rambo's hands, because he was just straight up killing anything in plain sight. All the cops, everybody that was chasing after him, they was all dead. And, he got off, pretty much without anybody to fuck with him at all. Versus the movie version we got, because that's when Stallone stepped in and said, because of the book, the rights to the book at least, of the story, had been like hot potato, pretty much. Studio directors, they didn't want to touch it. They thought it was cursed, whatever, too. Till Stallone stepped in and I guess read the script and having already had experience with Rocky, humanizing, fleshing out Rocky paws to make him so relatable and lovable. I think he was the perfect guy to have this fall on his lap and be like, okay, simple. We give him a name, he doesn't kill, and we try to understand his psyche as far as what happened to him. Not so much to victimize him or make him the victim, like sympathetic, like a lot of people felt. What's his name? Todd Phillips did with Joker in 2019, but more like he's been through too much. It's not his fault. He was just serving his country, and now he's tormented because of it. And now on top of that, being profiled and hunted because of it too. So he stepped in, gave him a name, humanized him, said he doesn't kill. Except the pig, of course. Well, wild pig, so, one less doesn't really make a difference. There's no real story, there's no real point to the movie if he's just a straight-up killing machine, menace, like, no stopping him, pretty much. Because then it could be, like, chopped down to, like, a snuff film-esque type of film. 30 minutes or so at most, instead of like the hour and 30 we got in total with the movie itself. Drama, emotion, you're able to relate. You don't necessarily hate the cops. You don't, there's no point in time you can kind of even side with the police here. They're just being dicks, especially that one, I forget the names, I'm so bad with names, I'm sorry, real life or cast names. But the one cop that really started it all, it really was his fault for profiling. And again, you see pretty front and center, like the patches on his jacket. I think one of them legit says Army, and then another one has like a flag of sorts. I think that was a point too, like wearing those shit. Okay, so it seems like he might have saw it, but maybe he thought because he's a vagabond or something like that. Maybe he said, no, he's a bum, he's a vagabond. He took it off of somebody that died in the war, bought it from a thrift store, and is just wearing the jacket just because he likes to look, to match his like scruffy, long 80s hair. Hippie hair like that too. That might have been it, but it really was his fault to start off with. And also, again, if we just leave it down to like he just kills everybody on sight, there's no movie. There's nothing to enjoy. It's, like a YouTube movie at best, if anything, too. No real substance to it. Not saying all the YouTube movies have, no substance. I'm just saying, like, there really would have been no story at all to tell. So I'm sure that's why so many people are having trouble, studios and whoever got the rights originally to the book and the story were having such trouble. Like, how do we even tell the story then? How do we like flesh it out? How do we drag it out to convince people to sit there for more than an hour about somebody just killing one after the other, after the other, after the other? But then, of course, Sylvester Stallone got a hold of it, and he said, okay, we'll tweak this, change that, give him a name, all these little X factors that no one even thought of, and then boom, you got such an epic, memorable character as John Rambo turned out to be in First Blood here. And yeah, there were like, was it 5 total Rambos? Not all of them were great. 3 got kind of ridiculous. 4 was like overkill. Now 4, when he came back after a long ass time, like 2006 or something like that, after like far removed from Rambo 3, that makes sense for the type of film all the other studio execs thought they would have to make, which would have been like uber violent, like NC-17. No way we can even get kids to sneak in because they'll be arrested if they try to sneak in or something like that. Or, just scolded by the police or something. There's that. And then also one last part to share trivia-wise, little fun fact-wise. Of all people, originally before Stallone was casted as Rambo, Al Pacino, yeah, that's right. They wanted him to be John Rambo at some point too, early on. But he only got dismissed, and they only reneged on Pacino like, nah, we can't go with him because Pacino allegedly said, I want to make him more of a madman. So then he was really feeding into probably the book. Let's see, I don't know. I'd love to know if Pacino maybe read the book and said, I love it, but let's make him even more insane some way, somehow, more of a killing machine, more of a menace. And then they said, you know what? No, we don't want to do that because we're already having the hardest time possible trying to even conceive how to make this a movie, let alone, God forbid, we got to make him more insane, more bloodthirsty. They're going to think we really hit the army or something at this point, just because of how we're painting this guy to be. Reckless, a recluse, a loose cannon, as they describe so many times in the movie, like your killing machine, your robots, all this too. It would have made it worse. Now, it would have been one of those cases where Pacino is the only saving grace per se of the movie. I would think so, but it would have made the movie. It would have made the movie suffer that much more, I think. Had he done the role the way he wanted to, more of a madman, like decapitating and like maybe peeling skin off, or going like Hannibal Lecter type of gruesome kills with it too, just to prove a point, like I was in war. But then again, it would have been pretty epic of all things. Pacino at that time, in the early 80s, wasn't as gruffy as he became over time. Pacino, it's me, Al Pacino. That's how it sounded, right? Wasn't as gruffy, but I think he still would have been intimidating enough with how much he screams and yells and hollers to make a point like, don't fuck with me, but people, don't fuck with me in the wild, out there in the forest. I'm the hunter, you're the prey. I got you. That would have been cool. Kind of playing that back in my head. But then again, you got to think of it this way. It's better we ended up with the version we got anyway. Had Pacino done it, Rambo, we probably wouldn't be talking about Rambo fondly 40 years later. No offense. I love Al Pacino, still my favorite actor of all time, but this stuff you're perfectly casted for, and this stuff that you're like a rock wedged into someone's shoe, sneaker, that you're just like there the whole time, but you're an inconvenience, better yet said. Now, as far as the final score is concerned, because I'm about to hop off right now, 40th year anniversary review here for First Blood / Rambo 1, starring Sylvester Stallone. Back from 1982. This is when this came out. 1982, goddammit. Who This Been Watching? Episode 58 live here on Instagram Live. Of course, as always, IG Live at Who This Is One. Also on TikTok, also on Twitter, same handle at Who This Is One. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. So as far as the final score is concerned, and the way I do things here, in case you're, first-time viewer or whatever, I use these props, because we're talking about movies, why not use props, myself too, to scale the rating as far as, this is my rating system pretty much. So out of a possible 2 ears, meaning it's a classic, it's a masterpiece, whatever, the score I gotta give, to be honest, because I enjoyed it. And again, this is the first time, for the sake of the review, viewing this in full length, start to finish. I've only seen bits and chunks, as he described his friend, unfortunately, Vietnam, who was gonna drive the Chevy to the levee with him, in bits and chunks. Now, finally sitting through this thing, start to finish, full-fledged, hour and 33 minutes as long as it is. I gotta be honest, dead ass, not because he scares me, probably in real life he could still break my neck clean off my shoulders if need be. God forbid I provoke him like that, or I talk too much about his daughters, who are like both pieces of asses. I'm sorry, no offense. I gotta give First Blood, Rambo 1, aka known as well.
Because he was able to get hard enough at 75 to still put it in her, fuck her, come, and she got off. She got off a 75-year-old dick immediately, and probably, rubbed the taste out of her mouth and just scrubbing her ass more intensely, because she's like, oh my God, I got fossil cum in my ass, or whatever. But she age shames him, because he reveals he has the nerve to be honest as a man and say, I'm 75. Looks-wise in the fucking show, the character, he looks better than her. I'm sorry. That's not to diminish her, but in the lighting of the room, where it's at night, of course, because, they're done fucking at night. They're old, so they can't be fucking all night into the early morning and shit. They get there, they fuck one time, maybe two, and then by like 2 hours later, before it's like even 11 o'clock, she's ready to leave and shit. It's already still dark because the lights in the room are on. The lights in the room hitting her face are showing all the crevices, crow's feet.
2 ears out of 2. Oh my God, what a fun watch. Again, I am so impressed thoroughly with the performance in terms of emotion that Sylvester Stallone, of all people, gave at the end of the film when he's handing himself in the police, right before he does that. There's blood, there's violence, but none of it's over the top. It's not graphic, it's not grotesque, it's not like insane or nothing like Rambo 4 got. Or after I haven't seen the last Rambo from like a couple of years ago, Rambo 5, but it's in my queue. I'm going to get to it eventually. But the fact that he does such a great job as Rambo, looks the part, that's the easy part for him, getting shredded, getting jacked, all kinds of in shape, whatever. But the fact that he was able to deliver emotionally, performance-wise, as well too as John Rambo, and really made him human, and really made him like sympathetic enough at the end of the day, hey, kudos to him, great job.
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.